The following is a paid program and does not necessarily reflect the opinions of the staff or management of Visionary Related Entertainment.
Aloha and welcome to Maui Nonprofit Notes. Now in our 10th year of broadcasting, each week we continue talking with Maui's nonprofit executive directors and staff to find out how they're working to support those with needs within our community. Maui Nonprofit Notes is generously sponsored by Pacific Source. So if you're building or remodeling a home, please stop by Pacific Source's cabinet and appliance showroom located in the Waikapu Bayshard. I'm Susie Tiemann, Executive Director of Lokahi Pacific, and your host for Maui Nonprofit Notes. During this hour, we're going to share some of the experiences of our nonprofit agencies and just how they're changing lives, changing communities, and creating miracles of hope for those with needs. Today we're going to start off talking with Dr. Greg Lagoy, who's the CEO of Hospice Maui. Hi, Greg.
Aloha, Susie.
How you doing?
Doing well. I've actually got a bit of a cold, so just ignore the froggy sounds. I'll try to cough in another direction.
Gotcha. Okay. I have seen an awful lot of people running around with face masks on lately. There must be something in the air.
I don't know. Face masks are meant to prevent droplets from leaving a person. They do not protect you. They protect others. Because when you first cough, the droplets, if they're caught by the mask, then they don't go anywhere. If a person coughs, then the droplet evaporates. The virus is too small, to be stopped by a mask. So having a mask does not protect you on the inhale side. It only protects others on the exhale side.
So a lot of people use it the wrong way.
Yeah, that's typical, right?
Because there was somebody yesterday that I ran into, and I said, "What the heck?" So I didn't know you had allergies or whatever was going on, and they said, "Oh no, I just don't want anybody to give me something."
Yeah, no, it doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
Because by the time the droplet has left the person's body within a very short time, the water's gone. And the virus is so small that the Brownian motion of the air, which is just the molecular movement of the air, keeps it from settling. And so it's just simply in the air. And a virus is so small that if you put it, the way they used to detect viruses is you put them on one side of an unglazed piece of porcelain. Now, porcelain is not porous. A virus will eventually fall through the porcelain. That is how small a virus is. Bacteria cannot do that.
Oh my gosh.
And so this little virus then doesn't really care if you've got a face mask on, because when you have your breath of air, it's in the air and it feels like it just went through an area where maybe there was a tree here and a tree there, and that would be the fibers of the face mask, hundreds of yards apart, and they're like, yeah, this isn't going to bother me. But the droplet will stick to a face mask on the exhale side,
Gotcha.
And the virus will be stuck with the droplet, and as the droplet evaporates, the virus will sit stuck to the fiber.
Okay. So what I need to do is start telling my employees, come to work but wear your mask.
Right.
So we don't want it. But we need you.
There you go.
I don't think that's going to fly with too many people.
Probably not.
And for those of you in HR, I really would not say that to them.
Most upper respiratory, meaning from the larynx up, head colds, are spread not by coughing, not by droplets, but they're spread by a person touching their eyes or nose and then touching any other surface and thus depositing the little viral critters.
Right.
And anybody touching those surfaces and touching their own eyes and nose. So if you keep your hands away from eyes and nose, you can dramatically reduce your rate of contracting an upper respiratory virus.
I had one employee one time who I think must have owned stock in what's the company that makes the tissues, the wet tissues?
The wet ones or whatever.
Yeah, whatever they are. Because it had them all the time, and every time she'd go to pick up the phone, she'd wipe it first. And nobody's been there but you. And she goes, I don't know that. So I get up and walk around. I don't know if somebody's touched it. And I go, okay.
The question is, where's the line between prudence and paranoia?
I think that's a good point. So now we've heard it here from Dr. Lagoy, even though his doctorate is a PhD.
No.
Oh, it's not.
No,
You are a medical doctor.
I'm a naturopathic doctor.
Ah.
So I've been through 4 years of medical school.
Okay.
The first 2 years is the same as any medical school. Second 2 years is different. It's ambulatory care.
Okay.
Focused on removing the obstacles to cure as opposed to intervening.
I see. So why did I think you were a PhD doctor?
I have no idea.
Wonder who I've got you confused with.
Probably me.
Oh, yeah, Gary is, right. I forgot. That's a doctor of naturopathy.
Doctor of naturopathic medicine. Yeah.
Interesting.
So it's 4 years after college, and then a year of internship, and then I did 3 days, 21 exams over 3 days to get licensed. And then I have to re-up my license every 2 years.
Oh, really?
Got a bunch of continuing It's very similar to any physician, DO, MD. It's very similar.
Are there practicing physicians like you?
There's a handful in Hawaii.
Yeah.
In the Northwest, where I was educated, we were primary care physicians with equal access to insurance and ordering imaging studies and lab tests like any doctor would.
Interesting.
My focus was pediatrics.
Pediatrics. Well, you've swung the pendulum.
Yeah.
Okay. So then you come from the Northwest to Hawaii via some other route?
I grew up near Montreal in northern New York.
Okay.
And I got a degree in chemistry from an engineering college there, and then I was a Navy pilot. And then after flight school, I got an inter-service transfer, and I flew search and rescue with the Coast Guard in the Great Lakes for several years. Then lived in New Zealand for a few years, and then went through the 4-year naturopathic medical school in Seattle, 5-year program there, and then moved to Maui.
Wow.
32 years ago.
You remind me of who's the guy in the cartoon that takes the in circus, right? He always goes
Family circus, yeah.
Family circus. He always goes the roundabout way of getting somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that explains though why you enjoy. Are you still doing the piloting of the
gliders? No, I haven't done that in a while, but that was fun.
I always wondered where that came from. So you're a pilot. Okay,
yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I've had a pilot's license for more than 1/3 of the entire history of aviation. Figure that out. So the first airplane flight was in December 17th of 1903, right?
Uh-huh.
And I began flying in 1971. So that's, what is that, almost 50 years ago.
Yeah.
And the history of aviation now is, 116 years old.
Yeah.
So it's more than 1/3 of that.
Interesting.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
It's mind-blowing, actually. Makes me seem really old.
I was going to say, I'm sitting here going, he can't be that old. Hello.
67.
But, yeah. Hey, we're all there, right? What the heck? I mean, there's a certain age at which I think you just kind of settle in, and all these things that you've done have created who you are today. All the experiences, good, bad, whatever they might be, but they all fit into what you do. And over at Hospice Maui, I mean, you're dealing with people from all walks of life, all types of experiences,
Right.
And you can understand most of what they're going through.
Well, the thing that we understand mostly is that we actually can't truly know what they're going through, and so we bring humility and respect to every situation, because what people want in those situations is none of our business. Our business is to support whatever that is, regardless.
Interesting. That's very good. That's a very good take on it.
Our staff's their goal is to be invisible, to do what they do and not be noticed. Instead of, we've got this great relationship with this hospice nurse, she's so fun, she's this, she's that. No, the hospice nurse is just very, very quiet, is a loving and professional presence as much as needed or as little as needed, and is focused on being out of the way but quietly supporting, so that people often don't even know that there was a pothole there.
Yeah.
Because they didn't hit it, because we try to look ahead and help
Right.
people navigate those things.
Navigate, carry them over, whatever the case is. Interesting. The facility that you have, the home.
Right. We call it our Hospice Maui Hale.
Holly, right. More and more I see in the obituary section of the paper. I mean, I look at it every day just to make sure I'm not there.
Right.
It's a good day,
Good
right?
safety check.
Yeah. And I see more and more people who have passed
In the 12
in the
months
Holly.
in the 12 months between July 1st of 2018 and this past June 30th, we had 104 people admitted to our Hale.
Wow. That's incredible.
it's a testament to the level of service that building, it's just a building, but the service it provides is really deeply valuable to this community.
It is, and people, I mean, it's not, I'm not sure that people understand really what the intent is or who can use it. I mean, it's open to everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not, you don't end up there because you have nowhere to go.
Sometimes.
Well,
but not usually.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was maybe one of the first misunderstandings about it. It was about why it was built and what the intent was.
The intention is that when people are very ill in the hospital, sometimes families are reluctant to bring them home if it looks like the care needs may be beyond their capacity. And so a lot of people who would die in the hospital now can be discharged to our Halle. And they can spend their last few days or sometimes weeks there. But typically it's 5 to 10 days. We have 5 beds. And so our goal is to be able to say yes anytime the hospital calls with a need. So we work at not having people there a long time. So if someone just doesn't have a place to stay, we work to find a care home situation or assisted living or nursing home.
Right. But it's just it seems like that the welcoming of the entire family to come and be able to say their goodbyes
Mm-hmm.
and spend those final days, hours, whatever the case might be, with their loved one is such a privilege for them. I mean, to be able to do that, because you think so often, that things happen quickly and
Yes.
and they don't get there or they can't, and I whenever I see that, Hospice Maui Holly, I just think, wow, wonderful.
Yeah, it really is. And, the setting and our staff who are particularly generous of spirit and loving, and the welcome that we want that place to be for families. That's our focus.
That's that was a tremendous addition to the facilities that you guys did.
Huge. It was a huge undertaking.
I know it took a long time to get it together and funded. And
from concept to first patient was 2 days short of 10 years.
Oh my gosh. But worth it now.
Oh, it's a fantastic asset to this community.
Yeah. I mean, that so often we get lost in what we had to go through to do it.
Right.
That we miss the whole point that it has exceeded our expectations.
Right. And interestingly, it's owned by this community because Hospice Maui is a true grassroots nonprofit. So we have a volunteer board of directors made of community members, and that's it. We do just what we do.
Right. Well, I was looking through I love your website, by the way.
Good.
The pictures are fabulous, and if you want to copy something off, the pictures don't get in the way.
Nice.
So often when you go to copy a page of somebody's website, you end up with these big pictures that go off the page.
In the middle of the text, right?
Yeah, right. And you're going, oh, wait, how do I get this? But yours, I mean, that's great job.
Thank you. We put a lot of effort into making it really user-friendly.
Yeah. And it I think it comes through. I mean, you feel like here's somebody who cares. They didn't just slap this together.
Right.
That I hope that didn't take 10 years to put together, but I'm sure you have refined it several times.
We've refined it, but a lot of work and effort goes into that website.
Yeah, I would think. So what's our reason for getting together besides just talking about what wonderful things happen?
Besides your generous invitation, Susie? And the fact that you have me on speed dial in case there's a hole in your schedule. Besides that?
Oh, my secrets are out. Ouch. You and about 5 other people are on speed dial. Yeah.
Okay.
So if somebody gets a call on Tuesday, you know what happened.
You know what it is. I see Susie Teeman on my phone. It's a Tuesday. It's like, okay, I look at my calendar before I call you back.
No, but you do have a great event coming up next week, and I did want to share it.
We do. It's called Dine Out for Hospice Maui. And the concept is is there a time of year, it's November, is there a day of the week, it's Tuesday, when restaurants tend to be slower than the rest of the time? And so we thought, well, how coincidental, excuse me, that November is National Hospice Month, and that November is also the birthday month of Hospice Maui. We're going to be 38 years old on the 16th of November.
Congratulations.
And so we approached a bunch of restaurants and said, if we do publicity and drive business toward you, would you give us some portion, up to you to decide, of your proceeds? And so we've got like 32 restaurants saying, sure.
Wonderful.
And so we work hard at spreading the word and getting all of our staff and volunteers and board members and everybody going out for dine out, and all of them bringing their friends and making it so that the restaurants feel that that's a very successful day for them, and then they share some of that with us.
Wonderful. It's a fun fundraiser.
Yes.
Because it's something you're going to do anyway. You're going to eat, so why not go out? And it's the day after a holiday.
Yep.
And I love the fact that it's from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. for those restaurants to serve breakfast. There you go.
It used to be that the restaurant decided which meal periods they were supporting.
Oh.
But we simplified it, and it's up to them to make the decisions on that. We just drive traffic on the day.
Yeah.
And some of our staff who do the advancement, which is our term for development, they go out and they eat breakfast at one place, an early lunch at another, a late lunch at another, poo-poos at another, dinner at another.
Cool.
So they try to.
Wonderful.
And then, of course, we send ambassadors to thank these very generous places.
And before we start mentioning who some of these places are, we've got to take a short break. It's that time already.
Aloha from Pacific Source, and thank you for your support over the years. Pacific Source has offered more of what builders and homeowners value most in building materials and cabinet design. We've done this by offering superior customer service and products, as well as by designing kitchens and baths that are intelligent and elegant while staying true to your vision and budget. Visit our showroom in Waikapu in Central Maui, where we display a variety of cabinets as well as top-name appliances like Sub-Zero, Wolf, Viking, KitchenAid, and more. We display countertops, tile and wood flooring, and several brands of windows and doors, including Fleetwood multi-slides and La Cantina folding doors. Come in and talk to our designers about making your dreams become a reality. From concept to completion, we really believe our attention to detail and superior service are what sets us apart. Let us show you what we mean. We are a Pacific Source at 515 East Oahe Way in the Consolidated Base Yard in Waikapu, just off Waiko Road. Call us at 986-0380. That's 986-0380, or look us up online at packsource.com.
And we are back. This is Maui Nonprofit Notes, your weekly radio show where we talk story with our nonprofit agencies about what's going on in their world. And today we've started the show talking with Dr. Greg Lagoy, who is the CEO of Hospice Maui.
Before you ask a question, I just wanted to say, excuse me, that Friday morning I'm taking delivery of a bunch of wood to build a deck with from Pacific Source.
Yay!
And about 4 weeks ago, I took delivery of a whole bunch of trim boards because I built a little farm building and I put trim all over
Well,
it.
you're doing all kinds of stuff up
Yeah,
there.
and Pacific Source is always my choice.
I know they
I love
are.
working with those folks, and they're efficient, fast, inexpensive, and a joy to work with.
Cool. Yeah, I know when you did a total remodel when you first bought the place.
Yes.
You turned to them.
Everything from soup to nuts, appliances to drywall
Wait
to.
a minute, soup to nuts, is that on the, no, that's not on the list. Okay. No, that's great though. We're happy to hear that. And of course, you know that we at Lokahi Pacific use them all the time for our
Great.
housing projects because they are just, as you say, fabulous to work with.
They are.
And the price is always right.
Yep.
Very good. Okay.
So in terms of the restaurants, shall we name some of the
Yeah, let's do
restaurants
it.
that are participating in
Let's
Dine
do it.
Out for Hospice Maui,
Let's do it.
which is our annual fundraiser? Well, we'll see how I do. In South Maui, we've got the Five Palms, Coconuts Fish Cafe in both Azeka and Kamaoli Shopping Center, Monkey Pod Kitchen in Wailea, Monsoon India, Nalu's South Shore Grill, Pita Paradise Wailea, and Three's Bar and Grill.
you got some of the popular ones.
We do. Upcountry in Paia, there's Cafe Mambo, Casanova's, of course, up in Makawao, Colleen's Restaurant and Bar in Haiku, Flatbread Company in Paia, Kula Bistro, the far other end of Upcountry,
Mm-hmm.
and Polly's in Makawao.
Kula Bistro, one of my favorite places for prime rib.
Mm.
And Polly's, of course, Mexican.
And then, and out in West Maui, which seems like a world away, but it's actually not. I have a business acquaintance from the mainland who just visited me today. He's here on his honeymoon, and he's one of the representatives for a vendor that Hospice Maui uses. And he's here, as I said, on his honeymoon and staying in Ka'anapali, and it's like, he doesn't see that there's any problem driving to Central or South Maui. It's like it's just a hop and a skip. It's far shorter than his commute to work in the morning.
I gotcha, yeah, depending on where you live.
Mm-hmm. But out in West Maui, we've got Cane and Canoe participating, Down the Hatch, Frida's Mexican Beach House, Honu Seafood and Pizza. And then in Olowalu, we've got Leota's Kitchen and Pie Shop. There's McDonald's of Lahaina, Maui Brewing Company in Lahaina, Merriman's out in Kapalua, Pie Artisan Pizzeria, Roy's Ka'anapali, and Teddy's Bigger Burgers.
Wow, that's
And of course,
fabulous.
we have
Here in Central.
Central Maui. We've got a good list here, too.
Yeah, you do.
So Bistro Casanova, Bridget and Bernard's Garden Cafe, Cupie's Maui, Da Kitchen Cafe. We have McDonald's of Kahului, Tin Roof, and out in Waikapu we have the Mill House.
With such a list, this ought to go on for a week instead of a day. I understand what you're doing.
Well, we try to be really sensitive to restaurants because
Right.
our goal is not to ask a lot.
Right.
It's to make it truly win-win, and I don't think we could drive business for a week to them. So
But we're having to make a choice, and I'm sitting here going, hey.
think of it, this is our 10th one. Think of it as a long-term project. Say, well, this year I can hit lunch here and dinner there. And next year I'll go, because most of these folks have been
They've been regulars.
part of us doing this for quite some
Yeah.
time.
Wonderful. And they all decide how much they're giving you out
Exactly.
of each meal or whatever the case might be.
Mm-hmm.
And it's every year your take has been bigger and bigger.
Our take has been consistent because a number of restaurants has been consistent, and this thing as an event has been consistent. If we were running sort of a gala event, then you look for it to be bigger and bigger.
Right.
But something like this is a friend-raising event,
There you go.
even more than a fundraising. It gets us invited to wonderful places like your radio show to talk about our organization, which is an important source
Right.
of connection with the community, and to talk about the restaurants. And so I would say it's been very consistent. We've been successful the entire time.
Well, I think you were one of the first organizations to do something like this.
We
weren't
were
you?
the first.
The first, okay. So it must be good because several others have copied it now and are doing, they're building up their numbers of restaurants each year. But every time I see one, I go, uh-huh.
We don't push hard on increasing the numbers because a restaurant's sort of ability to be heard amidst the gang is
Right.
decreased the larger
That's
you
true.
have. And
That's
so
true.
going with this gives people a lot of choices in terms of the style of restaurant, the cost, the type of food in the area. We wouldn't try to make it bigger than this because we don't think it would be a good service to the restaurants.
Right. Good points all. You guys think everything through. Gosh, that's great. Look how successful Hospice Maui has been, and what you've been able to do for families and folks with the proceeds of things like this.
Yes, this a lot of people, I think donors and the general public are more sophisticated about things, and a lot of people recognize that hospice services are paid for by insurance. So of course the question that comes up is, well, what do you fundraise for? And the fact is that we provide more than what we are required to provide, and the insurance only pays us what we're required to do. And so we have to fundraise for the extra things.
That's your
And-
Kokua Fund.
Exactly right. This is our Hospice Maui Kokua Fund, and one of the main things, that it underwrites is room and board in our hale for those people who either don't have insurance for it or who can't afford to pay. And so this fundraiser, as well as community donations, are essential to our being able to never say no to people based on money. And so far, we've been able to hold to that. We've never turned someone away because they can't pay and we don't have the resources.
Right.
This generous community has come up with the resources for us year after year.
And that's so important. One of the things that jumped out at me as I was reading through the Kokua Fund information was talking about some of the special needs that some of the people might have that insurance wouldn't. Maybe they have insurance, but it doesn't cover certain things. And you folks see the value in being able to provide that.
If someone has a need, and it can even be because they've got a family member that they really want to have present at the end and they can't afford to fly over, we'll fly them over.
Oh my goodness!
We did that recently.
Did you really?
Yeah,
wow.
we do. It doesn't much matter what it is. If it really affects the the quality of life of the patient or the family, then we do what we can.
Wow.
Sometimes we pay for funeral services,
Oh my goodness!
like cremation and whatnot. We have
Yeah.
a fund to help with that. Because it can be tremendously distressing, because if someone doesn't have the money, then it's the state covers it, but they don't get the ashes.
What?
Yes, you heard that right.
What purpose does that serve?
Just saying.
Uh.
Big motivator for people to come up with the money for cremation.
I guess.
And so sometimes that's a huge stressor for families, and we have a fund that we can provide some assistance with that, and it's often just enough.
Wow. You know, I've heard some things today from you that all the times we've talked, these things have never come up. I mean, this is fabulous to know the extra mile that you folks will go to see that someone's last days aren't ruination for the family.
Exactly. Yeah.
Wow.
It's important.
Yeah. One doesn't realize. You know, we're out of time.
It's been a pleasure, Susie, as always.
It's, yeah.
Call me anytime.
Okay. I think I know your number.
We have the easiest number on the island. I
All
got to
right.
say that. It's
Say it.
244-5555. That's it.
No excuse to forget it.
Thank you again.
244-5555.
And thanks to Pacific Source for sponsoring this wonderful opportunity.
You got it. And
Aloha,
38 years, huh?
Yep.
Wow. Thank you,
And
Greg.
I've been there 30 of them.
Whoa. Hello. That says a lot right there. Thank you, Greg. And good luck Tuesday, November 12th. You've heard the restaurants. If you've got them on your website, right?
We do.
So if you want to take a look again and didn't jot them down as he was talking about them, go to
hospicemaui.org.
There you go. And the list is there. Thanks,
Yep.
Greg.
Thanks.
Have a great day. And we shift gears now. We're going to be talking to King Van Nostren, who is the board chair. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
For Nahoaloha. The
Hello.
hi. I tell you, you guys have got Hospice Maui does a tremendous job. So do you guys. I mean, it's just I've got a couple of friends who use your services. They're older folks that can't drive and have doctor's appointments and different things that they have to go to, and the drivers that volunteer for you folks are just incredible.
Yeah, we're very lucky with that. We are a volunteer-based organization run by volunteers and supported by volunteers who do numerous services on our wonderful islands in Maui County. And we're very lucky because the quality of our volunteers can fill in many gaps. And we are an organization that supports no wrong door policy. So we have a participant or a resident who can need some services. Either we can help them out with our volunteers, or we can find them help someplace other on the island.
That's an interesting way to say it. No wrong door.
It's just that you come one place,
Right.
and we make sure that you don't end up saying, oh, we can't help you out, or we can't be
Right.
of service for you, but we can find someone who can help you.
That's great. Wow, I love no wrong door. Oh, can I use that once in a while?
It's not mine.
And we emphasize that, of course, at the Maui Nonprofit Directors. I mean, we're all cooperating together and collaborating on services and projects, and I'm sure that a lot of the people that you're giving information to are going to some of the other members of our organization for the services, because we know that not everybody can do it all, and if they could, there'd only be one nonprofit organization around, right?
Correct.
But we all have our specialties, and as an all-volunteer, organization, you have what? One staff person, 1.5 staff people?
We're lucky to have 4 staff people
4, okay.
in the office.
Okay.
We have a volunteer coordinator, Judy.
Right. She's been on the show.
Correct. She has the operation manager, Pua,
Okay.
who is her right-hand girl.
Okay.
And those two are in constant contact between each other.
Right.
One's a coordinator, one's a felicitator, and handles the day-to-day traffic of our organization.
Wow.
We have a front desk woman named Jessica, who handles all the matching of the transportation services required. So she goes through our email and our texts and see who needs to be driven where and when, and she matches A and B and gets them on their way.
Wonderful.
And we have someone in the accounting department because there's
Ton of paperwork.
a lot of paperwork and a lot of reporting to do.
Right.
And we're generously supported by Maui County Office on the Aging.
Right.
And they want to know the numbers.
Sure.
And we are perhaps maybe one of their right-hand organizations, and they have to report to somebody. So
I would think so. I mean, it's just your numbers are just staggering. I mean, what did I see? 60,000 something. What was that
60,000.
60,000 volunteers something.
Okay, we have 1,047 participants
Wow.
Who
That's
co-
the people who need help.
who need help.
Okay.
So on a daily basis, we are servicing them in our either in-home health respite program, homemaking, telephone reassurance, transportation, falls prevention. But to service those, we have 342 volunteers, active volunteers.
Wow. Some making phone calls because that's their thing,
Sure.
and others driving because they love to drive. They've got the
Sure.
time.
They have a big van, and
Yeah.
we have a gentleman named George who lives up country, and he gets his van, and all the ladies pile in, and they go to the library today, or they go to the post office or the dry cleaners, and he makes a day of it, and it keeps our elderly and people with disabilities
Right.
out of long-term institutional
Right.
care.
Allows them to live at home wherever home may be.
Correct.
60,000 miles is what I was looking
Okay,
at.
yeah. I think
That's-
that's even increased. I think it's in the 70s right now.
Really?
Yes, ma'am.
Wow. And then 26,000 hours of service
Yes.
by all these various people, and 2,846 telephone calls
Yeah, I guess
to
so. That's
people. These are stats here that are coming off your website. Provided 41 families with 2,292 respite hours. I mean, those are astounding numbers for a volunteer-based group.
It is, and respite's very important because we're taking care of the caregiver.
Right.
We're making sure they don't get burnt out, or they also can have a life and not just watch after their participant or their family member or their mother or sister.
Right.
So we take a little bit of pressure off them, and they can have a day to maybe perhaps go shopping or get their nails done or anything they really need to do. And so we fill the gap.
So is this somebody that would go into the home and be with that person,
Yes.
so that the regular caregiver can take the day off
Yes.
and be totally comfortable that their patient is well taken care of?
Correct, and mostly our respite volunteers are repeat customers, so you would never go to someone else's new home.
I see.
There would always be an introduction first. Do you feel comfortable with this person here?
Right.
Sometimes the participant doesn't want a male or a female or someone younger or older, so we
Right.
kind of have to whittle down our match a little bit. But once they get settled, they have a relationship.
Right.
And whether they're watching television or they're talking story or they're quilting, it just keeps them busy while their
Yeah.
caregiver has
You
some
know,
life.
Something that I've found interesting when folks get older, they can get so engrossed in an activity that all of a sudden the day's gone.
Yes.
And that is fabulous because I'm the kind that I can't spend that kind of time. You know, I can do something for a while and then I've got to shift gears and do something else. But some of these folks, I mean, it's incredible whether it's playing cards or watching TV or a movie. I've got a friend who loves cowboy movies. She's 93 years old. And sits down and watches. She's got the CDs of all the big, the hits, the John Waynes and the whatevers. And she can sit there and watch for hours. And I go, you got to be kidding me. She goes, I think it takes her back to a place in time for her that represents some good part of her life or something?
Sure,
And
and
good
also
for
takes
her.
you away from your daily,
Yeah.
maybe perhaps a pain or a problem or a situation. It kind of puts you in a little bit of a fantasy world,
yeah.
and it's good to be sometimes lost in the sauce.
Okay. On that note, we're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back.
Aloha from Pacific Source, and thank you for your support over the years. Pacific Source has offered more of what builders and homeowners value most in building materials and cabinet design. We've done this by offering superior customer service and products, as well as by designing kitchens and baths that are intelligent and elegant while staying true to your vision and budget. Visit our showroom in Waikapu in Central Maui, where we display a variety of cabinets as well as top-name appliances like Sub-Zero, Wolf, Viking, KitchenAid, and more. We display countertops, tile and wood flooring, and several brands of windows and doors, including Fleetwood multi-slides and La Cantina folding doors. Come in and talk to our designers about making your dreams become a reality. From concept to completion, we really believe our attention to detail and superior service are what sets us apart. Let us show you what we mean. We are a Pacific Source at 515 East Oahe Way in the Consolidated Base Yard in Waikapu, just off Waiko Road. Call us at 986-0380. That's 986-0380, or look us up online at packsource.com.
And we are back. This is Maui Nonprofit Notes, the weekly radio show where we talk story with the nonprofit directors and staff to find out what's happening in their world. And today we've not only got staff and executive directors, but we've got the chairman of the board.
Just the president.
Okay, we've got the president. It's not just somebody has to lead a team like this. And now you've been with the program several years.
Yes, this is my third year.
Third year, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And can I ask how you got involved, or what made you want to be a part of this? Or
I moved to Maui about 4 years ago, and I was blessed to have a lovely life in Pennsylvania, and was able to sell my business and move here and able to afford this lifestyle. And I've always been giving back into the community, and now I didn't have to report to work 9 to 5. And I really wanted to give back to the island. We've always vacationed here for 20 years,
Wow.
25 years, and always loved Maui and the aloha spirit and just everything about Maui. And I wanted to give back. And a friend of mine in the yoga class said, I'm working on a volunteer organization that helps people at home. And I said, great, I'd love to be involved. And she goes, great, you're the president.
okay.
But the board was very welcoming, and Nahaloa does a lot of good things on the island, and I'm very proud to be a part of it and to help it grow and increase our volunteers as our participants increase.
Right.
It's very difficult as the participants increase if we can't satisfy them without the volunteers.
Right. I mean, do you get to a point where maybe you're there where you've got a wait list? Or do you try to fit in as much of services as you can?
Like the gentleman before me, we never say no.
Okay.
We always try to satisfy and work something out.
I see. Okay.
My history was logistics, so I was very good at
There
putting
you
A
go.
and B together. And that's exactly what our organization
Right,
does. It
right.
takes A and B and puts something together to make it one.
Right.
And our aging community is just growing on the island. Everyone's getting older.
Right.
And yes, the participants are increasing, and that's what my main thing is to come on your show, is to push our volunteers. We
Right.
need volunteers.
There you go. Okay, so let's spend some time on that. Volunteers to do. You've got several programs, so there must be a puka they can fit into.
Correct. Our volunteers can fit into a very small piece of the pie, or you can take a larger piece of the pie. We have telephone reassurance, which is a really important program. You call a participant on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, however they want to talk. Just say how you're doing. How was your day? How's your aunt? Something to that effect.
Right.
You can connect with that person. So that certainly could be a small amount of time for a volunteer to do.
Sure.
We also have our transportation services, where you need to take your participant to the grocery store. You need to take them to a doctor's appointment. You need to make sure they get to the hospital for their appointments or the drugstore. So it could be a very short trip, or there are participants that require a little bit more logistics. You know, I need to do A, B, C, D, and E today. And, you know, you have the choice, of course, to say, no, I don't have really the time today, but I could do it Thursday.
Right.
So that's a small piece of the pie. We have a little bit more involving with our home respite program because it's spending a little bit more time with the volunteers at their facility,
Right.
at their home.
Uh-huh.
So we also go through a background check just to make sure that everything's copacetic on all of our volunteers.
Right.
And they also have to be able to get along with them. On the phone, you can kind of fake it sometimes, but when you're there sitting at their home, you have to have
Right.
some sort of relationship with
Right.
them.
Right.
And we also have our homemaking services, which will go into your home and you may have it cleaned or do your laundry or clean the bathroom that day.
Gotcha.
So we usually devote 3 hours to that,
Interesting.
into that service.
Wow. It's exciting to see that there's people who, I guess in my mind, they don't mind doing some of these things because to me it sounds like a chore. But that's just me. And there are others who, do your volunteers have to be a certain age?
No, actually, we accept anyone over 21 years old.
Okay.
And I think our oldest volunteer is in their 80s.
Okay.
So the majority of our volunteers are in their 50s and 60s.
Okay.
And that's why we're plugging for new volunteers, because our volunteers are getting older
Right.
and can't maybe do the transportation services or the respite services.
Well, that's kind of interesting because if they're in their 50s and 60s and they're helping folks in their 80s and 90s, it's like taking care of mom
Yes.
or dad.
Yes.
Or their aunt and uncle, and with the folks that we have here now, the mix of people, we have a lot of those people who don't have mom and dad around.
Correct.
Mom and dad live on the mainland someplace or have passed, and so for them, it's kind of nice to have that person around who's got that historic view of things that they can talk to.
Sure. And they also love living in paradise
There you
and
go.
on the island. So they have a lot in common that way.
Right.
And people come to Maui by choice,
Right.
okay? It is a destination to live. The quality of life is so high. Our weather is so fantastic.
Well, the last 50 heat-setting days, record-setting days. But no, I'm that I shouldn't have thrown that in. That's not nice. But it was a little extreme, and I'm sure that there probably were some people who needed some special services because of that heat.
Yes, in Kihei it gets awful hot. And we had one of our participants, he lived in a little ohana on someone's house, in someone's property, and he didn't have an air conditioner. And one of our one of our volunteers, Banadev, had a free yoga class and gave all of the donations for that to Naholoa, and they bought him an air conditioner
Oh my gosh.
to make sure that he was covered during the heat wave.
How wonderful.
So it's just the little pieces that people give to Naholoa and the people of the island that makes us different. We're
Right.
a volunteer organization that is run by volunteers, and they volunteer their services to help the kapuna of our island.
Right. Wow. And Kapuna, what, is anyone 60 and over? Or is there an age restriction there?
No, our participants really could be anyone because we accept people with disabilities as well.
Okay.
So that could be someone quite young as
Sure.
well. But mostly our participants are adults.
Okay.
But I would say the majority of them are in their 60s.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Interesting. They just can't, for whatever reason, they can't drive anymore or can't afford a car.
Or perhaps have an injury.
True. Oh,
Okay.
yeah, it could be temporary.
Yes, coming home
Situation.
from the hospital, and
Uh-huh.
I'm going to need to do, before I get back on my own 2 feet, I'm going to need some help in here.
Right.
And my daughter works, so I could use some respite services
Right.
once a week. Or
Right. Or-
I can't drive.
Go to physical therapy or
Correct.
whatever you might need. Yeah.
Yes, so it may be a temporary basis, but it also may be a full-time basis that
Right.
I could use someone once a week to come in
Right.
and do my laundry.
So once somebody is paired up with a volunteer, does that volunteer pretty much stay with them, or does a volunteer have 5 or 6 different patients or clients, or how does that work?
That really depends on the volunteer, because some people only have time to handle just one participant.
Gotcha.
But like I said, George, he's got a whole
Van.
harem of them. And they can't wait for their day with George. And he does multiple days, and he does telephone reassurance and transportation. And
Wow.
he absolutely is a ringmaster up country and handles a lot of the load, which helps us with our 3-to-1 participant with volunteer
Right,
ratio,
right.
where he may be handled more than just one-on-one.
Kudos to George.
I'm telling you, he is a winner.
He sounds like Volunteer of the Year material.
Very much.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's great.
But there's a lot of Georges out there in Nahoholoa that do several different participants.
That's interesting, because one of the things that people say when they decide to retire, a lot of them think, oh, I'm going to play golf more than I did before, or I'm going to travel more, I'm going to do this or that. Well, at some point that all settles down, and then what?
Right.
And this idea of volunteering, it's okay for them to say no, they can't do something one day.
Of course.
And that's what might be keeping some people from doing it, is that they're afraid they're committing to being available when somebody needs them. And that's not the case.
It's not the case, because we will fit around your schedule. And if you can't handle the transportation services, we have a network of volunteers who might be able to fill in that gap.
Right.
I know your doctor's appointment may be on a certain day,
Right.
but we could find someone who is also driving on that certain day in that certain direction and could spend an hour or 2 or 5 to help you
Right.
have a quality of life.
Yeah. Interesting. I think that's a very important piece as far as I'm thinking. If I were to say, okay, I'm going to retire and I'm going to volunteer for you guys, because I love driving. Just getting out there and going places, and not necessarily that I have something to do, but I think probably once you start doing that service, you may think of things you can do during that hour when the person you've taken to their doctor's appointment is going to be with the doctor or waiting for the doctor, and you can go run your errands real quick, and everybody's happy.
Correct. And it's just filling in that transportation gap
Yeah.
that you're going to be probably doing anyway.
Right. Yeah. Now they get reimbursed mileage, right?
Yes, they do.
So that's the only thing they get.
Correct. Our volunteers are only paid for their mileage, and which handles their gas and their oil changes and stuff like that.
Right.
But if you're a volunteer, let's say in your telephone reassurance, I have one lady who loves to talk on the phone, and she's got 20 different participants that she calls. Every day she calls somebody different, but she loves to talk on the phone and
perfect.
talk story on the phone. So they, I have one that can handle a lot, or just, but we don't pay telephone reassurance. We don't pay for their time. They volunteer that.
Yeah. Well, it's keeps her happy.
Sure.
Because she has somebody to talk to, and I'm sure there's days, because these people are more or less confined to home, they're going to be there when they call, or if they don't get answers, they have a process to go through to get help over there in case something's wrong, right?
Of course. We're in contact with our participants 24/7. If there's a problem, you call or send us an email. We can always find an answer for you. And if we can't handle it, we'll, like I said, no wrong door. We'll find someone who can help you.
Right.
No one's going to be left out. No one.
Yeah. Wow, that's great. So let's talk about the volunteers. You're looking for volunteers for all your services.
Correct.
So if anyone out there listening has heard something here that they think maybe they would like to, they can give it a try. It's not a long-term commitment, right? Doesn't have to be.
No, you can try us out and see if it works for you. If you like doing laundry, come on.
Oh, gee.
I have 2 ladies
Really?
who love doing people's laundry, and folding is a whole ritual. So if you like doing laundry, we could really use you.
Interesting.
If you like talking on the phone and want to connect with the people on our island and talk story and find out about other people, we could use you as a volunteer.
There you go.
If you like driving around, I don't really care for Hana Highway and Haleakala at 7:45 in the morning, but if you like driving around and have a car, then we really could use some volunteers who really want to give back to our community.
Gotcha. Phone number.
Yes, our phone number is 249-2545.
249-2545.
And that's Na Hoholoa, which means loving friends.
Right. And certainly that's exactly what you are. Your website.
Yes, it's nahoholoa.org.
Okay, and that's N-A-H-O-A-L.
Yeah, aloha. Aloha. That's how I remember it.
Oh, gotcha. H-O, aloha.
Right, yes.
Okay, cool. Good thinking. Try to remember the spelling. Don't work so hard, Susie. Any last-minute thoughts? We're about out of time.
I just want everyone to think how grateful you are to live in such a wonderful world. And if you have health, you're very blessed in this world. And there are people in our community right around you. It could be next door. It could be across the street. It could be across town that could use your volunteer services. And please think about that.
Wonderful. What an organization. I tell you, I think we've had two of the best organizations in town on the show today, between Hospice Maui and Aloha. King, thank you very much for being here, and congratulations on running, again, I say, one of the finest, almost all volunteer organizations there is.
Thank you so much, Susie. I'm very proud to be here.
Hey, it's great. Anyone out there who wants to give them a call, please do so at 249-2545. Check them out. It's it would be worth your time, I think. If I were ready to retire, I think I would check them out. I can't imagine what I would do every day if I was retired. So I need something. Yeah, I'd be out there driving. Maybe it'd be an excuse for a new car.
There you go.
Oh, that's awful, isn't it? Anyway, Maui Nonprofit Notes is sponsored as a community service by Pacific Source, the builder's choice. Please give them a call at 986-0380 or stop by their showroom in the Waikapu Bayshard on East Oahe Way to see how they can help you with your building project. Pacific Source has been our sponsor from day one, and we thank them for their ongoing support over these 10 years. To you, our listeners, we thank you for the response our agencies get from you regarding the activities that we talk about on this program. The Maui Nonprofit Directors Association's mission is to provide personal and professional support to nonprofit executive directors, their organizations, and the community of Maui. Please visit our website at mauinonprofit.org for a list of agencies. If you find one there you'd like to learn more about, just click on their name and it'll take you to their website where you can find out all you need to know. Oh boy. Was that a good pause right there as you started the music? Okay. Today we visited with Dr. Greg Lagoy, the CEO, of Hospice Maui, and with King Van Nostrand, who is the president of Naho Aloha. I'm trying to put you in the house business. Nah, we don't want to do that. He's the board president for that agency. Give them a call at 249-2545. And give Greg a call at Hospice. What is his number? 244-5555. I knew it was something like that. And want to thank you all for tuning in and joining us today. Don't forget to join us again next week, same time, same place, when we'll feature two other representatives of the Maui Nonprofit Directors Association. Until then, I'm Susie Tiemann, Executive Director of Lokahi Pacific, and your host for Maui Nonprofit Notes. Thanks for joining us. Have a great week, everyone. Aloha.